Okay, so here's where we are. We're talking about consecutive integers, and we just did our warm up that let us talk about how to define consecutive even or odd integers. So, what kind of consecutive integers are we looking for here? Say it again. Yeah, we're looking for even integers. So, how many of them are we looking for? We're looking for 2 even integers. So, what are my variables going to be? X and x plus 2. Good job. Okay. So it says find 2 consecutive even integers if the sum of their squares. What does that mean? The sum of their squares. What does the word sum mean? Let's break it up. Sum means add. So we're going to add something together. What are we going to add together? Their squares. Whose squares? The integer squares. So I have to take the first integer and square it. And I have to take the second integer and square it. That is the sum. I'm adding together their squares. And it says that the sum of their squares is 164. Well, we have to remember what this means because this kind of throws us off sometimes. So someone tell me, what does that mean? What does x plus 2, the quantity squared, really look like? It doesn't look like x squared plus 2 squared. Our brain wants to do that, but it doesn't. What am I taking? When I square something, that means that I multiply it by itself, right? It's that whole thing multiplied by itself. So x plus 2, the quantity squared, really means x plus 2 times x plus 2. Kaden, when I have x plus 2 times x plus 2, how do I get rid of the parentheses and simplify that? What do I have to do? I have to distribute. X times x, Kaden, is x squared. X times 2, Justice, is x times 2 is 2x. 2 times x, Ashton, is perfect. And Aiden, 2 times 2 is 4. Do you guys see that I can combine these two terms in the middle? What's that going to become, Ashton? 2 plus 2 is? Good job. X squared plus 4x plus 4. So that is really what goes right here. So I'm just going to put it there. So I have the first sum, or the first integer squared, plus x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 164. So we know that we have to set it equal to 0, but is there anything that we can combine or group together before we set it equal to 0? Uriah, take a look at that. Is there anything that we can group together or combine?
Yes.
What?
X squared
plus
x squared.
What is x squared plus x squared?
X cubed.
So Uriah, look at me. If I have one x squared in this hand and one in this hand, and I put them together, how many x squareds do I have? 2x squared. So 2x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 164. Okay, so we've combined like terms. In order for us to solve this by factoring, we have to set it what? Equal to 0. So how do I do that? Good job. I'm going to subtract 164 from both sides. So 2x squared plus 4x, and a positive 4 and a negative 164 give me a negative 160 equals 0. Number one rule of factoring. Gianna, what's the number one rule of factoring? Look for a... Do you see a greatest common factor there? Between all of those? 2. We can take out a 2. Let's do that. Let's take out a 2. So I have 2 times, let's see, 2x squared divided by 2 is just x squared. 4x divided by 2 is 2x. And negative 160 divided by 2 is negative 80 equals 0. So I'm looking for two numbers that give me a product of negative 80 and a sum of 2. Product of negative 80 and a sum of 2. Negative 8 and 10. I love that. That's perfect. Negative 8 and positive 10. So that means that my factors are x minus 8 times x plus 10 equals 0. So what are my roots? If my factors are x minus 8 and x plus 10, what are my roots? Well, what's the opposite of negative 8? Positive 8. So x equals 8. And what's the opposite of a positive 10? And that makes sense because negative 10 plus 10 equals 0, right? Okay. Is this specific question looking for even positive or even negative integers? Does it specify? No, it just says I want 2 consecutive even integers. So this is a case where you have 2 right answers, okay? So let's think about it. You could let x equal 8. And then if x was 8, the next integer would be what? 8 plus 2 is 10, okay? Or what if you let x equal negative 10? Negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. Both of those are correct because it doesn't specify that you need a positive or a negative. Okay? I heard a wait. Question. It has to have their sum of their squares. What happens to a negative when you square it? Okay. All right. Are we ready to go into example number 5? Okay, I want everyone's heads up. When we put our heads down, we have a tendency to fall asleep. Heads up, let's focus. So 3 brothers have ages that are consecutive even integers. So how many integers am I looking for? I'm looking for 3. And how do I model those 3 integers? What are they going to look like? Not you. What are they going to look like, Lorenzo? I need 3 even integers. So go back to your warm-up. How did we identify those? 3 even integers. So my first one is going to look like what? My second one is going to look like what? And my third one is going to look like what? They're even. So I start off with an x. What's the next one going to be, Lorenzo? How do I get to the next number after x? How much do I add? If I start with 2, how do I get to the next number? It's even. So 2 plus what gives me 4? 2 plus what gives me 4? Look at your warm-up. Did you see what I wrote here? If I want the next, if I'm doing even integers, what's the next one going to be? X plus what? And then the next one after that is going to be what? X plus 4. These are integers. X plus 2, x plus 4. Okay? So those are the 3 integers that you have. X plus 2, x plus 4. Write them down. X plus 2, x plus 4. All right, Kimber, I'm coming to you because you have a word problem brain. You think you don't, but you do. So Kimber, here's what it says. It says the product of the first and third. How do I show, what does product mean? It means what? Of a what kind of problem? Addition is sum. We're not looking for a sum, we're looking for a product. Someone help out. It's multiplication. It's multiplication, okay? So I'm going to multiply. This means that I'm going to multiply the first and the third together. What does that look like? Well, what's the first age of the boy? X times the third age, X plus 4, is, what does the word is means? Equals 20 more than twice the second. 20 more than. So what does 20 more than mean? It means I'm going to plus 20 to something, right? I'm going to plus 20 to something. How do I show twice the age of the second? Twice the age of the second. Say again. Not 2x. 2 times the, what is the age of the second child? So I have to put it in a grouping. 2 times the quantity x plus 2. Whew. We got a lot here, right? Okay. So, Amalia, how are we going to simplify first just to get rid of those parentheses? What's the first thing that we should probably do? I just want to get rid of some parentheses and do a little bit of simplifying. So tell me what you want me to do. I can figure it out if you tell me. Like, what math am I doing? Help out, Cameron. You're going to distribute, multiply. Yes, you're right. We're multiplying. We call it distributing. So x times x is what, Jansen? X times x is x squared. Good job. Carla, x times 4 is 4x. Okay, we're done on this side. Delilah, 2 times x is perfect. Travis, 2 times 2 is just 4. 2 times 2 is just 4, right? Okay, perfect. Plus, don't forget you have that plus 20 dangling off to the side. So, next step, Hayden, next step. You don't know? Justice, do you see what I need to do on the right side? See there's anything we can do? Say again. Multiply? Help out, Tiana. Yeah. Do you guys see that I can combine that 4 and the 20? I'm going to combine like terms. So 4 and 20 give me what? So I'm going to rewrite it. X squared plus 4x equals 2x plus 24. Okay, so we're almost there. We know that this is a quadratic function because it's degree 2. I have x squared. The only way that we can solve a quadratic by factoring is if we set it equal to 0. Bailey, what do I have to do to get one side equal to 0? What do I have to move away? What do I have to subtract? 24 and what else? What else is on that side? Yes. I'm going to subtract 2x and 24 from both sides. So minus 2x, minus 24. You guys are doing great. Minus 2x and minus 24. Notice that I just put that 24 right below it because I don't have a like term that matches that constant. So let's see. I have x squared and a positive 4x and a negative 2x give me a positive 2x minus 24 equals 0. All right, Aiden, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Two numbers that multiply to what and add to what? Perfect. Do you know two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to 2, Aiden? No? Braden, Do you know two numbers that multiply to negative 24 that add to 2? Negative 4 and positive 6. Good job. So that means that my factors are x minus 4 times x plus 6. Remember, this equals 0, right? So we have to solve it. So if x minus 4 equals 0, what does the value of x have to be? Has to be positive 4. And that makes sense because 4 minus 4 is 0. If x plus 6 equals 0, what does x have to equal? Has to be a negative 6 because negative 6 plus 6 gives me 0. So, does it say anything about their ages being positive or negative? Okay. So, do we have another case where we have two correct possible answers?
No,
Why not?
because nobody can be in the negatives.
Yeah, what does negative 6 years old look like?
Not possible.
Not possible. Yeah, you can't be negative years old, right? So this is not possible. This is not possible, right? You cannot be negative 6. So what is the age of the first boy? 4. What is the age of the second? And the third? 8. Look at that. You found out how old those brothers are from that horribly crazy word problem. I'm so proud of you. We have one more. One more. Yes. Can you write yourself a pass for me? God bless you. And circle nurse. There's something in your eye?
Yeah.
I have saline solution. Do you want to try that? Go to her first, okay?
Okay.
All right. So this next one, find 3 consecutive odd integers. So that's where we're starting. How many integers? God bless you. How many integers am I looking for? 3. And they're consecutive odd. So what are my variables? Yeah, x plus 2, and x plus 4. I was going to write first, second, and third. Those are my 3 variables. Okay. It says such that just means, okay, this is like the qualifications for these integers. The square of the first, what's that look like? X squared increased by, so the word increased by means we're doing what to it? We're adding the product of the other 2. So we're adding the product of the other 2 integers. Well, what are the other 2 integers? Yeah, and we have to multiply those together. And it says this is 224. So the hard part is being able to like glean out what the word is, like what the equation is going to be, right? Do you guys feel like if you had a word problem like this, but you had multiple choice equations, do you feel like you could pick the right one? Okay. All right. So we know that we have to, order of operations says that we have to do multiply before we do add or subtract. So I have to take care of this first, this whole like this guy, right? We got to do this first. So how am I going to simplify that? How am I going to get rid of those parentheses? I don't remember. FOIL, yeah, FOIL or distribute, right? So we have to do this. So this first guy doesn't change. The first integer is just the square of the first one, x squared, plus, now I'm going to take care of this parenthesis product. X times x is x squared. And x times a positive 4 is 4x. And 2 times x is, and 2 times positive 8 is 8 equals 224. Seamus, I'm going to come to you. Big question. You ready for it? Okay, I'm waiting for you to write it all down. You got this. Seamus, what are the terms that I can group together on that left side? Do you see anything that I can group together? Well, nope. The 224 is on the other side. Just focus on this side. What are some things that I can group together? 4x and 2x. What else can I group together? Okay. Ashton, what is x squared plus x squared? 2x squared. Caden, what is 4x plus 2x? It's what? Okay. Plus 8 equals 224. Lorenzo, I need this equation to be set equal to 0. I saw you like, dang it, she's calling me again. So I had to take something that's from the right side and move it over to the left. I want it to say 2x squared plus 6x plus something equals 0. How do I get rid of that 224 that's on the right? What's the opposite of a positive 224? A negative 224. So I'm going to subtract 224 from both sides. I'm going to subtract 224 from both sides. All right. So when I do that, I have 2x squared plus 6x minus 224. A negative 224 and a positive 8 gives me a negative 216 equals 0. All right. I have to solve this by factoring. I heard slide and divide, and then I heard someone else say something. Who is the someone else that said something? It was a guy. Aiden, what'd you say? Say it again. GCF. Is there a GCF, Aiden? 2. Take a stinking 2 out. Divide everything by 2. That makes our problem much nicer. That gives me 2 times the quantity x squared plus 3x minus 108 equals 0. All right. Justice. What am I putting in my x chart? I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to what? Two numbers that multiply to look at the board. I'm squiggling under it. Negative 108 that add up to 3. Good job. Okay, figure it out. 2 numbers that multiply to negative 108 that add up to a positive 3. Their filled out notes from yesterday have today's examples on it. Thank you so much, Pam. How are we going to do that? Y equals negative 108 divided by x. Say again? Second graph. Yep. Negative 9 and positive 12. So that means that I have x minus 9 times x plus 12 equals 0. Well, if x minus 9 equals 0, what's the opposite of negative 9? Positive 9. Then x has got to be positive 9. If x plus 12 equals 0, then x has to be negative 12. All right, let's go back up to the initial problem. So I'm going to shrink this up just a bit. What kind of integers are we looking for? Odd. We're looking for odd integers. Is there a problem with one of our answers?
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah, this is not odd. Cross it out. It's not odd. Can't be one of the answers. So what are the integers we're looking for? Well, that means that x is 9. And so the next number is what? 11. And the one after that is perfect.